So yeah, so I was chatting to Wayne around kind of doing different webinars, and Wayne's been our accountant at Efficient Portfolio for, I don't know how many years. Do you know how many years it's been?
I don't know actually. 6, 7, 8 years maybe. I'm not
like
sure.
Yeah. It's been quite a long time, and so we talk a lot about obviously Efficient Portfolio, but also a lot about how you can run a better business and build a better business. And so I thought it would be really good. And one of the things I'm going to talk about in my piece is the power of partnerships in business and finding synergies between businesses where they're helping similar people but from different angles. And so I'm going to come back to talking about that in my part of the webinar. But we were chatting, and the financial planner and the accountant so often have particularly for business owners, have so many overlapping areas, but they come at it from very different areas of expertise. So we thought it would be really helpful to put together a webinar where we can both talk about how you can build a better business, but from our different angles. So I hope you get loads of value out of this. I'm going to hand over to Wayne to do his piece first. And then once Wayne's finished, I'll take over and do building a better business from my point of view. So Wayne, without further ado, if you want, you're welcome to share your screen if you want to. I will mute myself, but I'll I'll pitch in if I feel like there's anything I want to add. And equally, when I'm speaking, if you want to pitch in with anything I'm talking about, please feel free.
Okay, thank you, Charlie. Good. So building a better business. Now, this is a sort of slightly shortened version of probably a sort of hour's seminar stroke webinar. So I will be moving through it fairly quickly. But hopefully, what you'll be able to do today is to take some actions and some points out today that are that you can implement into your business. That's me. Those of you who've seen me and can see me on screen will notice my hair is a lot longer now, but otherwise I look pretty much the same. For those of you who don't know me, quite simply, I'm a chartered accountant, and what I believe is that accountants are put on this earth to do so much more than just do a tax return and a set of accounts for their clients. Most business owners get these statutory accounts at the end of the year, don't really understand what they're about, and usually they're out of date by the time you get them anyway. So, what I love is working with small business owners to help them get more from their business, and that's about so much more than complying with those legal requirements. So a thought for the session: live as if you were to die tomorrow, learn as if you were to live forever. But what it's important to understand here is there's no magic bullets. Nothing I'm going to talk about today is new. It's not difficult. It's not rocket science, as they say. But the important thing is these are all practical tips, the things that everybody can do to improve their business. There's no substitute in this for ongoing hard work and working on your business, not just in it. Charlie has a fantastic business, and what distinguishes what he's done in his business, I think, from other businesses, he's just got on and done it. He's done this stuff, and that's what I observe from businesses that we work with, is the ones that achieve what they want are the ones that just get on and do it. That's it's simple as that. So before we begin, I'd like you to consider what a better business actually means to you. Is it just about more profit? Or is there more to it than that? What do you really want? How will you balance work and play? What does your business need to deliver to you? Perhaps that might be something like a less stressful environment, or to actually enjoy going to work. What a better business means to me is it's one that delivers on the 3 freedoms: time freedom, mind freedom, financial freedom. And so today what I'll do is I'll take you through 10 steps that you can take to achieve those 3 freedoms. And what we see as accountants, unfortunately, is there's far too many clients and business owners who don't achieve those freedoms. They work crazy hours, don't make enough money, they get burnt out. That's why we talk to clients about building a better business. Most of us are aspects in the technical, are experts in the technical aspects of our business. But today's about reflecting what we're not so good at, whatever that may be. You know, maybe it's understanding the numbers, creating a business plan, etc. So what we're going to cover today, so we'll look at the 10 steps, we'll look at what they are, why you should do them, some of the best practice to implementing them, and then taking some action. And I'm hoping that you'll be able to come away with at least 3 clear actions that you're going to take that will make a difference to your business. It's a good idea to write those actions down as well. That cements them in the brain, gives you something to come back to and refer back to later. So let's get started. First, step 1, get clear on exactly what you want. Who do you want to be right now? You know, maybe that's about who you want to be in relationships you have with maybe your children, with your partner, with your family, with your friends. Think about what you love doing, both inside work and at work. What do you need to stop doing to achieve those things? Make a commitment to the things outside of work that you love doing, and make these things real. You know, if you think about, maybe think about what sort of holiday you want to have. You know, be specific to fix the image in your mind. Where do you want to go? When do you want to go there? Write it down, block the time out in your diary. But when you're thinking about these things, who you want to be, what you want to do, create these images, write it down. How much income do you want to have for to deliver the life that you want? Don't worry yet about how you achieve that. Just get the idea of what you want. If you started to write that down, then you've started working on your own personal plan. So, you know, it's really important to get very clear on exactly what you want. And remember, you've always got a choice in this. Nobody else is going to create it for you, but you can choose to create the life and the business that you want. Step 2, be open to change and new learning. You know, often we find that we don't have time for learning new things. So first point under this is really, where can you find some time? So, you know, how much TV do you watch? Turn it off. How much time do you spend surfing at the internet on your phone, looking at Facebook, etc., social media? We can create a lot of time there. There's loads of opportunities these days to learn. You know, lots of courses that we can do online, offline. There's never been more content, you know, available than there is now. Can you read more? Or something I like doing. I'm not great at reading actually, but I love listening to audiobooks, and that's something you can do anywhere. And most books are available in audio now. You can get a great subscription to something like Audible for £8 a month and access one book a month through that. Write your learnings down so that you can revisit them later. It helps reinforce the learnings. You know, there's a theme. There'll be a theme in this, constant theme. Write stuff down, and teach new skills that you learn to somebody else. You don't know something until you can teach it to somebody else. So, you know, once you learn it, impart it to somebody. So think about, what is it that you need to learn more about? What's the best way to learn that knowledge? Again, write that down, set yourself some targets, and then go home and why not share those targets with somebody else? I find that if I want to achieve something, I just I tell somebody else about my idea to achieve it, because then there's an embarrassment factor in not having done it. So it's you know, a bit of peer pressure is useful in achieving these things. Step 3. This is about honestly defining where you are now, you know, and it says warts and all. So being about really honest about where you are. You know, we've all heard it before, haven't we? You can't plan any journey without knowing the starting point. That seems so obvious, really, but too often we see business owners who try to make a plan without either fully understanding where they are, or actually, I think more often not being honest about where they are now. So, some things you can think about here are how aligned are you? If you've got other people in your business, other owners or leaders in your business, how aligned are you in your thinking? If you were all asked independently about where the business is headed, would you all say the same thing? What is actually generating the results you have at the moment? And this isn't just about sales or profits themselves. It's about the things that happen in your business, whether good or bad, which actually contribute to performance, and to contribute to performance. You need to know what's contributing to your performance so that you can actually improve. And without knowing what drives your business, you have no way of impacting performance. What about your team? How engaged are they in delivering your vision? Have they bought into your plan, your culture, the purpose of the business? Without the team on board, the business won't scale up. And businesses with engaged team members, they significantly outperform those where the team members aren't engaged. How appropriate are your measurement and reporting systems? Do you have measurement and reporting systems in the first place? What are you measuring? How are you measuring it? It's all very well to set targets, but if you can't measure them, then you're effectively flying blind. You don't know where you are against those targets. And then, where are you vulnerable? Where are the risks in your business? What things are most likely to break? Might that be your systems are poor? Have you got high turnover in your staff? How's your cash flow? What's your balance sheet like? Is it weak or is it strong? So just as when you program your a destination into your sat nav in your car, the sat nav knows the starting point before it starts to plan the route. To go anywhere, you need to understand where you are right now, and you need to be really very, very honest about where you are. Don't be tempted to cheat yourself on the honesty. Okay, so step 4, make a plan. Remember, the business is there to serve you, not the other way around. So, refer back to step 1. Where you write down who you want to be, how you want to work. Maybe you write down the hours you want to work. And so build a plan around what you want personally from your business. Now, obviously, your budget should be part of your plan, so the financial budget. And then when you're working on your budget, you need to work out how much you need to sell, what margins you need to sell it at to make your financial targets. So make sure your plan is linked directly to how your business will deliver on your personal goals. I'll talk later about how we can help you with some of these steps if you need help. So some rules on making a plan. First of all, keep it brief. I'd say no more than 2 sides of what we'd call old-fashioned printed A4 paper, but no more than 2 sides. Keep your goals pretty brief. No more than 4, I'd say. If you have too many goals, then you struggle to achieve them, and that just leads to becoming demotivated and a sense of failure. Cascade those goals into action. So if you've got your goals for the year, break them down into what you're going to achieve in 90-day periods. I mean, you can do it monthly, but 90 days works as well. And identify the actions you need to achieve in those 90 days to achieve the 90-day goals. Work out some jargon there, KPIs, key performance indicators, the things that really drive your business. That's the things that are behind the profit and the sales numbers. Again, keep this brief, no more than 5, otherwise it becomes overwhelming. Share the plan with your team if you have one, and their personal career goals should be linked to your plan. Help them define their own actions and their KPIs. I'll talk in a moment about organizational structure and job descriptions. Keep the plan visible to you and your team. Track your progress against it. Sort of come back to it relentlessly, really. It's there, it's your document that sets out where you want to go. And review it at least quarterly with somebody independent, so who will hold you to account. So your business plan is really it's your guide as to what you want to achieve in your life, and it's the most, I'd say, the most fundamental document for any business. So, question for you: how good is your business plan? Step 5. So get your organizational structure right. So you may have heard the saying: start by getting the right people on the bus, get the wrong people off the bus, and then get the right people in the right seats. So the organizational structure really is about knowing what the seats are and who's in them. So once you get your organizational structure right and you get the right people in the roles, that enables you to sort of scale up your business without creating those sort of bottlenecks or the overload, the errors and mistakes that we often find as small businesses grow. That means that your profit, your bottom line returns should increase at a greater rate than even the sales income, because you become more efficient. You start to achieve economies of scale as your business grows. So the organization structure, it shows the departments in the business and who's responsible for doing what, and whether they are employees in your business or some of them may be external contractors. We call it actually the 10 hats organization structure. So you can see the roles there, and one person can do more than one role, but there can only be one leader of the business and one leader for each of the 10 departments. It's very common in a small business to find people wearing more than one hat, as it were. So often, somebody in finance will take on the admin and the IT. Sales and marketing are often together. If you're the business owner, you're probably doing several of these roles. And one of the most important things to recognize here is these roles at the top here often get very, very blurred. The business owner is the shareholder of the business, the director, and usually the leader of the business as well. And it's important to understand the different responsibilities of each of those roles. If you look at how a PLC is structured, these roles will usually be very different people. And I think it can help us as small business owners to recognize that we do have separate roles as shareholders, directors, and leaders in our business. So, you want every role in this structure to have a clear job description with clear responsibilities, clear tasks, and key performance indicators that align with the business plan. Valuing the opinions and contributions your entire team is hugely important, but actually having a clear hierarchy is a key. It's key to avoiding the bottlenecks. It's key to making really clever decisions, but also consistent decisions, and also managing risk as the business grows. It really provides clarity and direction for the team, and also opportunities for advancement in your team as well. So that's step 5, the organizational structure. Let's look at step 6, which is about leading. So it's about leadership. It's about building a strong workplace culture. So we hear this term, toxic workplace. Have you ever asked yourself what it's like to work in a toxic workplace, what it looks like? Well, the average person apparently spends something like 40,000 hours of their life at work. That's a huge amount of time if the environment's not fun. we have the ability as business owners to create our own environment that is fun. Why work for yourself if you don't create a fun environment, one that has the culture that you want? I guess a lot of us will have been here. We've worked in these environments where, trust is low, where values are not clear, or the values, the leadership thinks the values are clear, but people don't live them. There are meetings after meetings where people are basically bitching about what's gone on in the meeting, or people in the business. There are stressful interactions, arguments, etc. Lots of firefighting. Team members don't respect each other. People don't buy into the core goals of the business. We have this great opportunity not to let this occur in our business as the leaders of our business. So, we have the opportunities to set our own core values, what's important to us, what really drives us, what our purpose is of our business, why it exists for our clients. A great book on this actually is Simon Sinek's Start With Why. And you can also find a short video on YouTube about purpose. And it's a really interesting and easy read, that book. Once you've got your core purpose and your values sorted, memorize them, make them visible. We have ours displayed around our office. Ensure every team member knows what they are, and hold each other to account for living into those values. It's really important that you align your business goals with your team, so that the whole team has their own individual goals that relate to the business goals, that relate back to the business plan. Something we forget to do often is celebrate success, maybe amongst the team, but even as individuals. If you don't have a team in your business, maybe it's just you or you and your partner. I think far too many business owners, and I include myself in this, is we spend most of our time looking forward at what we want to do next and the things we're not happy with in our business. We don't spend enough time looking at what we've achieved and giving ourselves a metaphorical pat on the back for what we've achieved. We've all come through a really hard time in the last year, obviously. Take some time to just think about all the good things you've achieved over the last year. And reward yourself for it as well. If you have a team, meet with them regularly. That ensures you support them effectively. You can address minor issues before any resentment arises and builds. Actively, pick up on when those meetings after meetings are going on. Discourage them. Encourage openness in meetings so people can have their say there and then. Be aware if you have any sort of favourites in the team and how that comes across. Believe me, team members are very sensitive to that sort of thing. You may not perceive it as to happen, but they may be. If you have toxic employees, deal with them. You could say open the door of opportunities for them. There's always a wealth of opportunity for them outside of your business. You don't want them inside, dragging everybody else down. And finally, just have more fun at work. Why shouldn't work be fun? And you build fun exercises or resilience exercises into the working week. That keeps people fresh and just makes it a more fun environment. Okay, so step 7 is all about accountability. The most effective way to make sure you get your actions done is to give somebody nagging rights to hold you to account against them, to follow up on you. Say you want to go to the gym regularly. For most people, just having a gym membership is usually not enough. How many people are members of a gym but never go? And you know what? Most personal trainers are just there to make sure their clients show up. So it's an example of where without a personal trainer, it's just too easy to put off going to a gym session. So, it's the same in business, really. We can set our plans, we can do all the stages before this, but, ask yourself who's actually going to hold you to account to make sure that you do your actions to achieve your goals. What we need here is somebody who cares, but actually at the same time won't hold back from saying what needs to be said. You can say that's somebody with heart and backbone. Sometimes you say, well, you hear people saying, well, actually my friend's going to do that, or my husband or my wife or my partner's going to do that. But you know what? That usually doesn't work, because they'll be more likely they'll let us off. They don't want to upset us. So they're not hard enough with us. They care, but they're not actually hard enough with us to tell it as it is. So who do you use as an accountability coach? Do you have anybody? Would you be more effective with one? Step 8. I mean, this is a great example today of step 8, building strong networks. So, most businesses will generate the vast majority of their new business from referrals. And the great thing, of course, about referrals is they don't cost you anything. And the best way to get referrals is by strengthening relationships with existing clients and other people you do business with. So, some ways to maximize referrals. First, consider the lifetime value of a new client to you. Do you know how much a client is worth over the lifetime that they stay with you? How much will they spend with you over, let's say they stay with you for 5-10 years. We're talking about how long Charlie and I have been working together. That's a long time. Once you understand how much that client or customer is worth to you, then you can start to think maybe about how much you can afford to spend on attracting new clients. Identify complementary businesses. Like I said, this today is a great example, Charlie and I working together, of how complementary businesses can come together, and hopefully deliver some value to their clients as well. For accountants, of course, it's financial advisors, it's solicitors, bankers, that sort of thing. But you'll have everybody in their own business will have other complementary businesses. How can you work closer with them? Maybe you create an informal group of people who can work together well. Maybe you get together more formally to discuss how you can work together better, or actually maybe you just go down the pub for a drink and be more sociable and have some fun together. But it all helps develop the relationships. If you focus on giving more than you seek in return, there's this I think BNI have this, the BNI network have this phrase, give as gain. But it really is about, if you give more to people, you create a desire in them to want to give to you as well. And people will often reciprocate much more generously than they've received. Find out where your target market hangs out and go there. And these days, that's not just about physically hanging out, but that's their virtual hangouts as well. And then finally, get involved in your local community. Maybe you get involved with a voluntary group, a not-for-profit organisation. Maybe you do something that you or your team are involved in. It could be sports club, it could be a charity. All those sort of things. I mean, sports clubs are always looking for sponsorship. Charities are always looking for volunteers. So step 8, that's building strong networks. Step 9, really, really important. This is looking at monitoring your progress. When you're driving, you look at the dashboard, don't you? And you look at how fast you're going, you look at how much fuel you've got left, and you look at the temperature of your engine. If you were to cover the dashboard up on a long journey, well, what would happen? Well, it may not quite end in disaster, but I'm willing to bet it wouldn't go as smoothly as it would if you had your gauges there. You're probably likely to run out of fuel or get a speeding ticket, aren't you? So it's sort of the same in your business. Why would you drive your business blind when you can't see the key indicators, the key performance indicators in your business? What are the most important things for you to keep an eye on? How do you decide which are the most important? How do you calculate them? So there's a 4-step approach you can use. Firstly, understand what has the most influence on your ability to achieve your goals. It's not just about what your sales are, but what are the drivers of those sales. It may be referrals, number of referrals you get. It may be the number of leads you generate from other sources. It may be your ability to convert those leads into paying customers. That's just one example. Then work out how you measure the KPIs. Wherever you can, automate the measurement process, because the actual measurement of the KPIs can be a big stumbling block for businesses. So make it simple for yourself to measure and record the KPIs. Set up a simple report that you can produce on a weekly or monthly basis, and make sure you allocate time to go through it weekly or monthly. And repeat those steps with your individual team members so that they have their own KPIs that cascade from your business's KPIs. So there's a theme here of cascading measurements, tasks, actions, goals through the business. And again, with your team, monitor and track their KPIs so they know what a good day's work looks like. Okay, so that's step 9. Step 10. So, of course, probably this shouldn't come last. It should be something you focus on all the time. When you get on a plane, most of us haven't flown for a long time, I know, but the airline, the cabin crew tell you to put on the oxygen mask first in the event of an emergency, don't they? Look after yourself first before assisting others. So selfish as it sounds, we do need to look after number one at all times. If you think about it in your business, if anything happens to you, what happens to the rest of your business? Usually the business, in small business, the business will suffer without the owner there. So think about the things that fill your well of happiness, the activities that kind of restore your energy, restore your resilience, help you face the challenges that you face in your business. So that might be, I don't know, dancing or yoga. For Charlie and me, it's a bit of triathlon. But it doesn't have to be so active. It might be reading. I like cookery as well, by the way. I love to cook. It might be a walk in the countryside, or just meet friends for coffee or a drink. Most likely, there might be things that you don't have time for at the moment. You probably do have the time, but maybe you're just not choosing to spend the time on those activities. So, just write it down, make a list of the activities that make you happy. And these, make a list of the things that you're putting off because you think you don't have time. Now, then make a commitment to them, make a commitment to spend at least an hour a day doing the things that you love doing. Again, share that commitment with the person you've asked to hold you to account, and keep a log of every time you do it as well. I mean, triathletes tend to keep training logs. It's a great way of looking back at what you've achieved and what you've been able to achieve. Okay, so as I said, I've run through that pretty quickly. I appreciate that, but there's a summary of the 10 steps. Clear on exactly what you want. Be open to change and new learning. Where are you now, warts and all? Make your plan, get your structure right, work on your leadership and your workplace culture. Who's holding you to account? Build your networks, monitor your progress, and most of all, look after yourself. So where we can help in all of this, as I said, we like to do much more than just a set of year-end accounts and a tax return. So we help clients put together their business plan. We help them put together their budgets, their annual budgets, their cash flow forecasts, revisit those forecasts through the year as things change in the business. We provide monthly or quarterly coaching with clients to hold them to account. So those are all things that we can do. For clients, we give a complimentary review meeting where you can look at where you are now and where you want to go. That's an hour's meeting where you can start to look at those things. And a proactive accounting meeting is the same thing for a non-client, basically. So that's how we can help. So in terms of next steps, just start now. Write down 3 actions or projects that will add value to your business. Remember, a problem is just an opportunity to create one of those projects or an action. And doing nothing really shouldn't be an option. Like I said at the start, this is just about taking the action. Failure to implement is often the biggest problem and the biggest failing in business. So there we go. That's me. Thank you very much for listening, and I will hand over to Charlie.
Brilliant. Thank you, Wayne. As you can see, well, those of you who don't know Wayne, as you can see, he's not your traditional accountant. He's not been spending the last half an hour talking about company, balance sheets and profit and loss accounts. So thank you, Wayne. That was really interesting. I'm going to talk about, hopefully you can see my screen. I'm going to talk a bit about how we can build a better business, but also a better future. Because, maybe at the moment you're thinking, well, particularly with the last year, have you been making as much money in the business as you really wanted to and set out to sort of 48 months ago? And, is that impacting your own standard of living? Are you able to extract the money that you need to as a business owner? And maybe you're also thinking, I've had to put in so many more hours over the last 12 months because of COVID, and my work-life balance has gone completely out the window. Perhaps you're questioning whether you're working from home or you're living in your office. We're kind of not sure where we are at the moment. So a lot of people's work-life balances have completely gone out of the mix. And perhaps some of the fun has fallen out of your business as well. Maybe some of the things that you most enjoyed about running your business have been taken away, particularly in this last 12 months. But this is a common trait anyway with business owners. I've spoken to many entrepreneurs over the years, and they find that they get into a business to do something they particularly have a passion for. And then they find that gradually as the business grows, they spend less and less time doing the thing they're passionate about and more time doing the other stuff that comes with running a business. So perhaps you're thinking at the moment, you think, well, okay, how can I drive my business forward? How can I make more money in my business? How can I generate more leads? How can I generate more earnings for me as the business owner? And so, that's one of the things that I want to talk about this morning. And then maybe also you're trying to work out, well, how do I get my work-life balance back? How do I focus on creating the time that so I can enjoy in things that are important to me with the people that are important to me? And also I want you to imagine a time where when you go into work, so you get your work-life balance right, when you go into work, you only do the stuff that you love and you're with people that you love. So actually you really enjoy being in that business. Well, that's what I want to talk a little bit about this morning. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Charlie Redding. I run a company called Efficient Portfolio. We're a chartered financial planning business based predominantly in Rutland, but covering a much wider area than that. I am myself a chartered financial planner, and as a business, we are one of the top rated financial planning practices in the UK. You don't need to take my word for that. That's been what the Sunday Telegraph says, what the Sunday Times has said. And also this year we won the top financial planning firm in the Midlands by our top industry magazine. So, and the part of the reason that we've done, won those awards is because one of the things that we talk about is the difference between financial planning and financial advice. Now, what you've heard from Wayne has been the difference between traditional accountancy, which is about very much a compliance exercise, versus essentially business coaching, forward planning. And really, we take exactly the same approach to financial planning. So financial planning versus financial advice. What do I mean by that? Well, financial advice is about, selling you a pension, selling you an ISA. Financial planning is about looking to the future, understanding what's important to you, and then understanding the resources that you've got available to you today, the timeframes, the levels of risk, and building you a plan that you can execute so that you can deliver on those goals from a financial perspective. And that's kind of why we're very different to most of our industry. I'm also the author of a few books. So last year I had a book called Entrepreneurial Happiness, How to Build an Abundant Business and a Fulfilling Life published. Not a great time to have a book published in the middle, just after we went into lockdown, but that was unfortunate. But I also had previously to that Smart Money, How to Create Financial Freedom, and my first book, The Dream Retirement, How to Secure Your Money and Retire Happy, published, that was published back in 2015. So what I wanted to do today was try and pick out a few elements from both really entrepreneurial happiness and from the dream retirement, because as a business owner, you have that challenge of running your own business, but also creating a better future for yourself financially. And it's often a difficult balance. And I meet a lot of business owners that say, well, I spend so much time working in my business, I don't have time to deal with my own finances. And so I want to kind of take a bit of an element out of each of those today. And in entrepreneurial happiness, I talked about something that actually Wayne has kind of alluded to already, which is the sweet spot of what is entrepreneurial happiness. Because I really worked out that, look, if we want to be truly entrepreneurial happy, then we've got to have a business that's making us good money. We've got to have good money coming into the business so that we can employ the people that we want to employ. If we don't have enough money, we can't do the marketing that we want to do. We can't expand the business in the way we want to, and also we can't live the life that we deserve. If we don't have control of our time, then we end up working every hour God sends. We lose our health as a result of that. We lose the relationships we have with the people that we care most about, and we also don't have the time to spend doing the things that we really enjoy. And then finally, and again, Wayne touched on this, a lot of the fun drains out of the business. You end up spending more time taking out the bins than doing what you got into business for in the first place, or doing admin or whatever it is in your business. So in entrepreneurial happiness, I looked at all of the best ideas I'd found over the years. Some of my ideas, most of them I'd stolen from reading lots and lots of books. As Wayne said, read lots and lots of books. And I actually also struggle with reading, so I tend to listen to lots of books. I've listened to now over 200 business books in the last few years. So I took all of those best ideas that related to the finances and the marketing in the business and put them into what I call the profitable business plan. Then I looked at all of the best ideas that had helped me go from working every hour God sends and not taking holidays to now where I have 3 months of the year off. I don't tend to work Fridays. I have a brilliant work-life balance. And at the same time, I'm running multiple businesses. So all of those best ideas went into what I call the free life business model. And then the epic business blueprint is about how you can create a business that's consistently thriving, not just when you're in it, but also when you're out of it, but one that you absolutely love to be a part of. And that is what I call the epic business blueprint. And I just want to talk a little bit about a few of the concepts within that book. But I also want to touch on, as I said, the dream retirement, because really the dream retirement was all about creating that sweet spot where you can sleep at night because you've got enough money in the bank to be able to retire. You're motivated to get up in the morning because you've got your purpose, you've got something you want to do, and you've also got your fitness and your health so that you can actually enjoy that time. And so I really want to kind of pick off some elements from both of those. And the one I want to touch on out of the profitable business plan is partnerships, because this is something that I think is really key at the moment. And as Wayne has already said, this webinar is the perfect example of partnerships. And I always think about, and I've told this story a few times recently in lockdown, when Steve Jobs created the new office at Pixar. It was this amazing office, huge place. But what he did was, instead of having toilets dotted around the whole building and different areas, he created one big atrium. And within that atrium, everyone had to go to that atrium to go to the toilet, to get to their mail and get their food. And the reason he did that is because he wanted people to bump into each other. He wanted people to have those multiple conversations. And I think that's really important at the moment. And it's something that with lockdown, we found even more challenging, haven't we? Because, we've gone on those water cooler chats between the guy from marketing bumping into the guy from HR, and then having a conversation, and they're coming at the business from a completely different angle. But, to steal somebody's term, I think it was a guy called Dan Ridley, but I might be wrong. Ideas have sex. And when people from different parts of your business talk to each other, those ideas have sex. And the same happens with different business owners from different businesses. So one of the things that we noticed over the years in financial planning, or in more traditional financial advice, I suppose, was that the client, particularly an entrepreneur, would have a trusted accountant, they'd have their financial advisor or financial planner, and they'd also have a solicitor. But they'd be getting advice from all of these different angles. And really that meant that the business owner was stuck in the middle, not quite sure which element of the advice from these different sources to take, because sometimes they will be in conflict. But a much better way of working is what we call the trusted team approach, which is where actually we work with the entrepreneur's accountant and their solicitor to formulate a strategic plan between us with all of our different areas of expertise, and we bring that to the client. Because if we've got the financial planner working closely with the accountant and the solicitor, then actually it makes the business owner's life much easier. And we work with accountants and solicitors in many different ways. And over the years, we've kind of worked out that actually, what can we do to help people, help those accountants and help grow those relationships? Because ultimately, what we're trying to do is we know that Wayne, for example, has lots of clients that also fit our perfect client model, and vice versa. Same with solicitors. So if we can add value to what Wayne is doing as a business, we know that ultimately it's likely that when he meets somebody, he will refer those clients to us because he knows how well we work with him as an accountant. So I want you to be thinking about, well, okay, which other businesses have the same clients as I do, but that aren't in competition with me? Because if you can team up with those businesses, they will do your marketing for you in the same way that Wayne talked about. You give more than you receive. What can you give to them? So when we're speaking to an accountant, we can say, well, look, we can give all of your clients a free exploration meeting. So free 90 minutes with one of the financial planners at Efficient Portfolio, because they're one of your clients. We can give the partner of the accountancy firm a free financial plan worth up to £3,000, because we know the best way to demonstrate how good we are as a business is for them to see it firsthand. We can do regular meetings and clinics with them and their clients, and we can do joint events like this. So we've thought about it and gone, well, okay, when we've identified different businesses that we can partner with that have the same clients as us but that aren't in competition with us, what we then need to be thinking about is, okay, how can I add value to them? How can I add value to their client proposition? How can I make them look even better in front of their clients and make their business even better? And also, what can I give them that doesn't cost me that much, but what can I give them to kind of help them see how valuable our business is? The free partner financial plan is a classic example. So be thinking about that in your business. Think about, with these other businesses that can ultimately refer your ideal clients to you. And what is your ideal client is a whole different conversation that you need to put some thought into. But how can you, once you've identified those businesses, how can you add value to them, and how can you add, what can you offer them to make it really beneficial to them? So that's one of the sort of a flying visit into the world of partnerships and how we work with other businesses like Wayne's firm of accountants. But one of the other elements of the profitable business plan is all about the numbers in your business. And I couldn't agree with what Wayne said more. So I'm not going to talk about this morning, but knowing those figures, what we call the successful business scorecard, knowing those figures and looking at them regularly. We look at ours every week. We've got, because if you don't know the score of what's going on in your business, you can't tell the winners from the losers. If you don't know the score, you don't know whether you're winning or losing. And it's absolutely vital that you do that. Now, one of the other elements of the profitable business plan is what I call a mass, which is all about amassing wealth as a business owner. And so I want to spend a little bit of time on this. And to do that, I want to explain what we call the entrepreneur's financial formula, or in other places we call it the efficient money method. And it's really about understanding what steps you can take as a business owner to create a better financial future for yourself. Because if you want to embark on anything, any big project, whether it's building a business, whether it's becoming financially free, the first thing you've got to do is prepare. If you don't prepare, then you will end up repairing it later on. You will end up with all sorts of damage done, for example, picking retirement, if you don't prepare for retirement by putting money aside for your retirement, you'll end up living on 150-ish pounds a week for the rest of your life, which is going to be a bit of a lifestyle shock, I would imagine. Second thing, if you're going to embark on any big project, is you need a clear plan, like Wayne said. Because again, if you're planning to fail, if you're failing to plan, you're planning to fail. You've got to have a clear plan. What's important to you in the future and how you're going to get from where you are today to deliver on that. Second thing that we always talk about is generating profit. Now, I'm not talking actually about profit here like Wayne will be talking about in your business. I'm talking about the money that you make. We've got to get generating a growth over and above inflation. If that money sits in your company and gets zero interest, or sits in your bank account and gets zero interest, and inflation is running at 2%, as it typically will be for the foreseeable, then the money that you've worked hard to make is now just being eroded and falling away. So we've got to try and generate a profit, a growth over and above inflation. If we want to create financial freedom in the future, we've got to create a pension. Now, I don't mean the pension product that you initially think of when I talk about a pension. I mean, we've got to create an income in the future. Now, that income could be from a business, but it's got to be a business that doesn't involve your time if you ever want to be able to retire. So we've got to work out ways of generating a flexible, dynamic income for you in the future. We've also got to make sure that this plan progresses with you, because things change over time, things stagnate, legislation changes. So if your plan is not progressing with you, then it will be gradually stagnating. Then finally, there's the elements of the business that we talk about in entrepreneurial happiness. So again, we put together our own systems, the best ideas in all of these different areas that we help clients with. And we created the smart savings solution, which for business owners is really about making sure that you minimize the amount of tax you pay, you maximize the bang for your buck as a business owner, and also you protect yourself and your business for unexpected events, because that's what preparation is all about. Then if you want to create a plan for the future, we took all of the best ideas for that and put them into what we call the Safe Retirement Roadmap, which is about making sure that you're on track to create an amazing retirement in the future in whatever form that looks like. With regards to generating a profit from the money that you've already earned, then we have the radical investment approach, which is approach to getting the best returns possible for a level of risk that you're comfortable with, because there's no good blowing up the plan by taking too much risk, but we've got to get that money growing and delivering you more and more, because otherwise, if you do that, you'll be able to stop working sooner. If you don't, and you let inflation erode the money that you make, then actually, or you make bad investment decisions and you take too much risk, then actually you'll have to work an awful lot longer before you can get to financial freedom in the future. We want to create what we call the dream income strategy with regards when you want to stop work, so that you've got this flexible and dynamic income that can allow you to tick off the bucket list. We've got to ensure that that financial plan continues to progress with you. So we have what we call the progressive review program. And then finally, the Better Future Framework, which is the core of what I talk about in entrepreneurial happiness. So I wanted to touch on one element of the smart savings solution, which I think is really important for business owners and not often talked about. And the best way I can explain this concept is through explaining what happened with a company called Carter & Carter, Peterborough-based company created by a guy called Philip Carter, who was a non-exec director of Chelsea Football Club. And like his chairman, Matthew Harding, he very sadly died in a helicopter crash that actually killed him and his son on the way back from a Chelsea match. That wasn't the same helicopter crash that killed Matthew Harding. There's just a horrible coincidence. Anyway, the day before that happened, he was running his training company, Carter & Carter, highly successful business, valued at about £500 million, as I say, the day before he died. The shares dropped by about 20% on the news of his death. 6 months later, the shares had dropped from £12.75, I think they were, down to about 85p. And less than 12 months after his death, the receivers were called in and that business was no more. So essentially his family inherited nothing from that business because it all wound up. And so what happened and what could you have done to prepare against that? Well, essentially, the problem is when somebody key in your business now, and that doesn't have to be a business owner, it can be your main salesperson, it can be the person that runs the business for you while you're not there. If something happens to them, they get sick or even worse than that, then that can cause a spiral of problems. It can cause, your customers to start questioning whether they should be using you. Could be calling, the bank might be calling in the overdraft. Your creditors might sort of start to change the terms that they're offering, and that just leads to this vicious circle. Competitors might be calling up your customers and saying, "Have you seen what's happening in so and so business?" So one of the easiest ways that you can protect your business is to use something called key person assurance. And it's just making sure that if somebody significant in your business has a serious health problem or worse was to die, then you've got capital and injection into your business so that you can withstand that period of turmoil, whether it's to offset lost profits, whether it's to recruit a replacement, or whether it's even just to offset the fact that the business is no longer worth what it was worth based on that person being irreplaceable. It's a really important aspect of protecting the business, but something that's not talked about so much. And it's just one aspect that a business owner should have in place to make sure that if something unexpected happens, then this is really about protecting the business if something happens. But what about the fellow shareholders, the fellow directors, the families of the people? Those things all need careful thought as well. And of course, each business is unique. So not every business should have key person assurance. Not every business should have things like shareholder protection or relevant life or all of those sorts of things. It's about getting the right things for you. And obviously, I haven't got time this morning to go into lots of elements, but I wanted to pick out one key piece from the Safe Retirement Roadmap as well, because it's something that, again, Wayne has touched on. He talked about having a sat-nav for your life. I often tell the story of when I first was in the world of financial services. I was living in West London in Chiswick, and me and two girlfriends of mine, by the way, they were friends that were girls, not two girlfriends, just before you question my morals. We heard about this party down in Brighton. I'd got a car, but didn't have a road map at the time. It was long before the days of Google Maps or SatNav. But, we were in West London. We knew Brighton was on the south coast. How difficult can it be to get there? So we jumped in the car, expecting to see road signs that were going to take us straight to Brighton, but we didn't. We made some silly errors, but we did find signs to Portsmouth. And we knew that was on the south coast. So we figured that couldn't be, that wouldn't be a bad starting point. And we could always turn left and get to Brighton. Anyway, we then kind of realized we were making a lot of errors. And in the end, we had to go into a garage and say, firstly, please, can we buy a map? And secondly, please, can you tell us where on the map we are, because we are horribly lost. That journey should have taken us about an hour and a half, ended up taking us 3 hours. We missed most of the party. And the reason I tell you that is because the approach that we took to that journey is the approach that most people take to their financial planning and also their business. Wayne said what you need is essentially a sat-nav taking you to the place that's important to you. So what is your financial sat-nav? Well, I've kind of alluded to it when I talked a bit about financial planning, around how, it's really about understanding what's important to you in the future, what resources you've got available today, and how you're going to get there. Because being an organized dad, if I was going to take that journey today, I would be putting it into sat-nav and it would be taking me on the most efficient route. But it also mean that if I ended up, if there was a road closure along the way, that sat-nav would be diverting me around that roadblock to still get me to the party on time or as close to time as possible. So in the financial planning world, actually in the business world, you'll have often heard the term cash flow forecast. Wayne's even mentioned it this morning. You may well have a cash flow forecast for your business journey, but do you have a lifetime cash flow forecast for your life journey? Your business journey is a really important one, but I'd argue your life journey is even more important than that. So what does a lifetime cash flow forecast look like? Well, I just want to give you a very brief overview of what it looks like, because it helps kind of understand the importance of it. So here we see a chart where you've got blue blocks and a black line running along most of the top of it. So each of those blue blocks represents a year through to age 100. We assume everybody lives to age 100. If you're not assuming that, you may have a problem because you may end up with too much life at the end of your money, which is a slightly awkward position to be in. So what you want is, so each of those blue blocks is a year between now and age 100. And by the way, this is a genuine example of a client of mine. He's world famous at what he does. And so what you can see is that he's got these blue blocks available, and this black line that runs along the top is his expenditure for each of those years. So he's got enough income to meet his expenditure for every year until he's in his 90s. And at that point, this red is highlighting the fact that he's on track to run out. So what we've done is we've been able to model his current trajectory, his current strategy. And we found that actually, if he lives to age 100, he's going to run out of money. Second chart is then really about what we call the liquid assets. What's going on behind the scenes? So this is showing how much money he's got in each of his different savings accounts, his investments, and his pensions. So you can see this is a well-organized person. He's got money in each different area. He's actually got over £500,000 sat in cash at that moment in time. But the reason that he runs out of income in his 90s is because he's spent all of his capital. So this is a really successful guy, and if you knew who this was, you'd be saying there's no way he's on track to ever run out of money. But the lifetime cash flow forecast highlighted that actually he is. What we can then start to do is model different scenarios. So we can say, well, okay, if we change these different things, we're not asking him to spend less or save more. We just need to change the strategy. Then actually we can eliminate that red by just changing the strategy. But more importantly, what's going on with the liquid assets? Well, what it's doing is, instead of him, if he lives to age 100, instead of his children having no cash to inherit, then they can inherit, by just changing that strategy, you can inherit an additional £1.4 million in today's money. So that is incredibly powerful to say, well, okay, if we do these different strategies, then not only can you live the life that you want without worrying about money, without running out of income, but not only that, you can also leave an amazing legacy to the people that you care most about. And so that's the power of lifetime cash flow forecasting. You can also start to model different things like, what if he wants to do the bucket list? He's got some amazing things he wants to do. Can we afford to do all of those cool things and still not run out of money? Well, yes, if the strategy is right, absolutely we can do. So that's kind of a very whistle-stop tour of what I would say is one of the key elements to the Safe Retirement Roadmap. Now, I'm running out of time, so I've only got a few more bits that I really can cover this morning. But one thing I just want to say is, as an element of the dream income strategy, is as a business owner, you have such amazing potential with the term pension, and it gets a lot of negative connotations. It's actually just a tax efficient bucket that you can use as a business owner better than anybody else. It is actually the most tax efficient bucket we get given by the state. You can put money directly into that pension from your business. But the wonderful thing is you can actually, as a business owner, potentially extract money out of that pension in the future if you need to, either through loans or through buying property. There's different ways that you can do that. So it's far more flexible for you as a business owner than it is for anybody else. But it's also really tax efficient by putting money direct into the business, from the business into the pension. It's the only way you can pay yourself before you pay the tax man. And that means you can get to financial freedom way quicker. So it's an allowance you should absolutely be maximizing every year. And as I say, you can put property in there. So if you've got a property in your business, you can actually use your pension to buy that property for you, or buy it even off yourself. And that's also an extremely tax efficient way of owning your property. So as a business owner, don't let that opportunity slip, because what it will do is it will allow you to get to financial freedom and kind of extract the money that you deserve as the business owner far more efficiently and effectively. So pay yourself before you pay the tax man. And also it's a way of protecting yourself. So were something unexpected to happen and the business have to fold, you get into a horrible lawsuit, then you've managed to ring fence assets to keep them out of the business, to protect them for you in the future. So as I said, whistle stop tour of a few elements to do with mass and kind of what you can do to build wealth as a business owner. I just wanted to jump into very briefly something else as part of the free life business model from Entrepreneurial Happiness. One of the things I talk about there is about magnifying what we do. If we want to get a better work-life balance, we've got to find ways to magnify what we do as a business owner. And the reason I can cover this really quickly is because I've already given you a couple of examples. So the system, the entrepreneur's financial formula that I've just been through is what I would call a unique business system. It's where we've taken our intellectual property, our ideas, and we've put them into a system so that we can explain it really easily, and hopefully you can understand it and remember it really easily. It's a 6-step process. If you've got that within, if you've got things that you do within your business, intellectual property, create a system out of them, and you will be able to explain it far easier to other people. They'll be able to buy into it. That's exactly what I did with the Better Future Framework, and it became the foundation of Entrepreneurial Happiness. And what it allows you to do, if you create a unique business system with your ideas, I mean, this is the stuff that you can then make it really easy to explain in when you're speaking. If you get the opportunity to speak, whether it's a webinar or whether it's, you know, at this point I was stood in front of 11,000 people in Miami. Just makes it really easy to explain what you do and how you do it. But it's also fantastic then for creating online content, again, whether it's webinars, whether it's videos, whatever it is. It's really powerful. And of course, this stuff is then unique to you. You will not get that system from any other financial planning business in the UK. So you've got to think about in your business, how can you create some systems with your intellectual property that will make your customers and clients really see the value of what you're doing, but also help them learn it and understand it. And another great way you can do that is through the power of stories. So when I was thinking about writing The Dream Retirement, my first book, I was listening to a podcast actually, and I heard about a Professor Dr. Joseph Zeimler, who'd done some research on blue collar workers in Zurich. And what he found, well, actually, sorry, he was based in Zurich. He was doing the research on unemployment in Austria, actually. And so what he found was that he got this unique opportunity to look at how retiring early impacted different blue collar workers' health. And what he found was that actually retiring early, whilst we think it's what we want and it's good for us, it actually reduces our life expectancy. But why would that be the case? You know, retiring early reduces our life expectancy. Well, it turns out that actually we're not very good at retirement. You know, in retirement, every day is a Saturday, isn't it? You know, there's no reason why you shouldn't have pizza and a glass of wine and you're not out and maybe as active as you were. And there's lots of different studies actually with when I started looking into it that show the same thing. So I wanted to create the Dream Retirement book based on how can we help people actually retire well? Because what I was seeing from a financial planning perspective was we were fixing people's retirement from a money perspective, but they still weren't sure what they could do with their time, or they weren't sure how they could actually get fitter and healthier once they retired, as opposed to becoming a shadow of their former self. And so that story really stuck with me, but that's a story I tell. So if ever I'm on a podcast and somebody says, well, you know, what's this book, The Dream Retirement? I'll always tell that story. That story will come up in multiple different situations, but it's my story that links to the Dream Retirement. So what stories do you tell that you can use to magnify what you do in your business, whether it be through the web, whether it be through your team? You know, my team will tell that story when they get an opportunity to talk about the Dream Retirement, because stories magnify, and stories sell, don't they, as you will have heard before. So that's pretty much all I want to cover this morning. I've taken up plenty of time. If you want to find out more about what I've done from Entrepreneurial Happiness, you can actually download the first 3 chapters for free from charlieredding.com, plus some of the tools that I talk about. Actually, I mentioned the Successful Business Scorecard. You can download a free version of that from charlieredding.com if you wish. I just wanted to briefly explain how we work as a financial planning business. In case anybody wants our help on that. So what we do to start with is we do what's called the Financial Breakthrough Call, which is a call with one of the chartered financial planners at Efficient Portfolio. We're happy to do that with anybody, regardless of your situation. Even if we're not the right firm to help you, we will make sure we direct you to where we think is. But generally speaking, we can help most people. And that phone call is and obviously it can be a Zoom call. That really is about making sure that A, we can help you because we don't want to waste your time, and B, the best person in the team to help you. Assuming that we can help you, we're able to give you a free exploration meeting because of your link with ESP or because you've watched this webinar. So that's 90 minutes with one of the chartered financial planners, either over Zoom or in person. And that meeting is really about understanding where you're at the moment, what's important to you in the future, and explaining how we work. We can then go away and build your own bespoke financial plan, which includes things like the lifetime cash flow forecast that I shared earlier, as well as kind of the radical investment approach and all of that sort of stuff. And just kind of helping you understand how you can hit your goals from a financial perspective. And then we have a meeting where we will kind of explain all of the advice that we've put together in the plan. And then most importantly, we have the progressive review program to ensure that plan continues to evolve with you. It is very much a team-based approach at Efficient Portfolio. I have a wide-ranging team of financial planners so that we can fit the right person to your specific situation. But it is also about the service that we provide. So we have a team of client relationship managers to make sure that there's somebody always on the end of a phone, on the answering emails, because obviously the financial planners are usually in front of clients. So yeah, it is very much a team-based approach. If you want to find out a bit more about us as a business and what we do and how we help business owners, we have an online webinar that you can watch really at any point that you want to. If you go to efficientportfolio.co.uk/webinars, we have the Entrepreneur's Guide to Financial Planning, which will go into, I've kind of touched on one or two elements from that today, but there's a lot more detail on that there. There's also another webinar there called the Dream Retirement Webinar, which is again more about the retirement piece. You can also, as I've mentioned, you can download the first 3 chapters of Entrepreneur Happiness free if you would like to. Actually, for those people that watch this, if you would like a physical copy, if you contact me at Efficient Portfolio, you can at the website, then I don't mind sending you a copy of that for free. And the same applies to, if you'd rather, Smart Money, How to Create Financial Freedom, which is aimed at kind of the people at the start of their financial planning journey, or the Dream Retirement, How to Secure Your Money and Retire Happy. Really, again, happy to send you a copy of any of those if you would like to read them. Financial Breakthrough Call, I mentioned, is the very starting point of that journey through helping you create a better future for yourself. So if you would like to take us up on that offer, please, again, just go to the website or email us, and we'd love to arrange a conversation with one of the financial planners to try and help you create a better future. You know, at Efficient Portfolio, we say that we're all about creating a better future for you through inspirational financial planning, and we really believe in that. You know, whether that's creating, you know, as Wayne says, we're both into triathlon, whether that's helping you do your, you know, something fitness related, whether it's your first Ironman, your first marathon, whatever it is, or whether it's helping you achieve retirement, something in your business, like helping you, you know, put out a book to make you the expert in front of your ideal clients. We're really here to help you create a better future. So I hope that webinar has been useful. What I'm going to do is I'm going to open up to any questions. I shall stop sharing my screen if I can work out how. And we'll open up to any questions. You can either raise your hand and I'll allow you to talk, or you can put a question in the chat box. But genuinely, you know, as you've seen, Wayne is not a traditional accountant and very much helping you, trying to create a better future. And we absolutely love doing the same for people. Has anybody got any questions? Wayne, have you got any questions for me? Or I tell you what, I've got a question for you are there any specific, you mentioned KPIs, and I talked about the successful business scorecard. Are there any KPIs that are the key ones that really every business owner should have as one or two of those numbers?
Yeah, I think often the KPIs will be there'll be a key profit related KPI that may be around the amount of profit you're making each month or week or whatever period you choose. It might be around a gross profit percentage, or it might be your sales. There's usually a financial element to it. There's usually more than one financial element, and so I would say profit and cash. A cash flow based measure are two key things that you'd probably see in any set of KPIs. But I think the mistake that businesses often make then is that because the financial information is easy to measure it and get at, they then make all of their KPIs financial measures. And what I'm saying is actually you need to get behind the financial measures to look at some of the non-financial things that are driving your business.
And do you think that you should be reporting that on a weekly basis, a monthly basis? Have you got any preferences to? I mean, we do all of ours weekly, and then we obviously chat about our stuff quarterly. But do you have any? How does that look across other businesses?
I think it very much depends on the type of business you are. Some businesses are. So let's take, for example, a retail business where you are selling potentially sort of high volume of sales in low transaction numbers. You probably want to be measuring weekly, maybe even daily in a retail type business. But then you look at maybe more project-based businesses that are perhaps are lower volume in terms of the sales, but higher value. You probably wouldn't get a great deal of value out of daily measurement. Some might benefit from weekly, but you'd probably go for a longer period of time, maybe monthly, for that sort of lower volume of transaction business. So that's probably the one distinction I'd make. But I think it needs to suit your business, and it needs to be you need to look at your business and what's right for the particular circumstances of your business. Yeah,
because I think back, when I set up Efficient Portfolio 15, 16, 15, nearly 16 years ago, it was, if I'd been reporting weekly, it would have been pointless because it was, one or even two of us at that point. Whereas now weekly makes a lot of sense. But yes, for our business, daily would make not much sense at all. But yeah, I can see that in a retail business.
Yeah, I mean, I used to, before I set up my accountancy practice, I worked at Dairycrest, and part of my time there was in actually working in a dairy as the financial controller. And there were certain things that we would measure on a daily basis. That was a very high volume business, a very operational business. So there were certain things we needed to know daily, sometimes hourly, how they were performing. So, very much the type of business that you're in and the size of it, like you say, as well.
Fantastic. Yeah. I'm not getting any questions on the chat. But if anybody does have any questions, please do fire them at us on the chat. If not, do you have any questions for me, Wayne?
Yes, I did. I think one of the challenges that I often have actually with clients, and I will have the conversation with them about how they should plan for their retirement, is getting started. How should they just get started on the first rung of planning for retirement? It sort of seems it's an intimidating thing, I think, for people to know where to start and how to get into it. What would your thoughts be on that?
I think. By the way, you're absolutely right. It is an intimidating thing. I've had people say that they feel like they're exposing their soul when they come in to see us, because it's like, well, I suppose we think that we should have probably all done a better job than we currently have. So when we then lay out everything, go, right, this is how much I've done all of this work, and this is how much I've accumulated. then that can, I think we all feel inadequate. And I've had people thinking that when they've got millions, and people that have obviously got significantly less. So I think that the first thing is that you've got to have a trusted partner with you on this journey. And really, that's why we do the financial breakthrough call at the start. Because, for example, if somebody's right at the start of their journey, they probably don't need one-to-one financial planning. What they probably need is somebody to just say, look, set yourself up a pension, do this, these bits of protection, you might need to think about those. And then, but we'll keep an eye on you, we'll keep in contact. And then as and when you need more kind of bespoke advice, we'll be here to help you on that journey. But what you also find is that often people come into this, having come into running a business, having worked in other businesses. So actually, then it becomes more complicated. Like as you did, you probably had a pension at Dairy Crest, you probably had benefits at Dairy Crest, and then you're like, well, okay, how do I now do that within my own business? So really, it's finding a trusted financial planner is the key, because that way, if you don't need one-to-one advice, we're not going to be trying to, there's no point in us trying to deliver that. Well, we have access to robo advice so that people we can just point them in the right direction, say, follow this process, you'll end up with a good starting point. And then we have what we call light financial planning, which is where, maybe you have got a couple of small pensions that you need to consolidate into one new one, maybe need a couple of bits of protection to kind of make sure that the business is safe. And then, obviously the opposite end of that is people that, do need genuine financial planning and building lifetime cash flow forecasting and all of that sort of stuff. And so, yeah, that's the first step, really should be about picking up the phone and having a conversation with somebody that you trust. And likewise, and I've explained how people can do that. How can people do that if they want to get in contact with you, Wayne?
Yes, so best thing to do is just to email me, Wayne at espbiz.co.uk, and a bit like you've said there, we'll always have an initial conversation, which is there's no charge. We'll explore what people are looking for, what's appropriate for their business, and sort of take it from there, really. Fantastic.
Brilliant. Well, if there's no other questions, we'll wind up this webinar for now. But thank you very much for dialing in. And I hope it's giving you some food for thought, some ideas, some things that you can implement in your business. As Wayne said, if we can do anything to help in any way, please don't hesitate to contact us. And I wish you all a very successful 2021.